Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday morning trading session. You're going to have to bear with me here a little bit. I'm having some technical difficulties. Just 1 second here. I'm going to get you the screen just so you can see what's going on here. But my data feed, I'm having some problems with my data feed this morning. So please bear with me here as I get that resolved. My poor NinjaTrader is doing overtime here. You'll see that my NASDAQ chart is looking, well, a little bit like your NASDAQ chart, except my numbers are way off. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's try this again. So was everybody busy watching the Academy Awards last night? Oh, it's always fun to watch. Let's see what's going on in Hollywood. Well, so far it looks like we're in luck that the market is pretty much in sideways mode, so I don't think we're missing out on anything. Just got to allow my Ninja here a chance to load everything up. Good morning, Jim. Jim providing us with some advanced decline numbers here to start. So it looks like we've got just over 1,400 on the buy side and just over 1,000 on the sell. So that makes for a slightly positive or bullish market, at least according to the advanced decline figures. And I'm not sure why my crude oil chart is not loading. Hold on 1 second here. All right, while I'm waiting for my crude oil chart to load, I can't quite put the trade manager on here yet, but it does look as though we're getting a little bit of a hard edge bounce coming here off of the eagle. The market's still kind of in a sideways mode, however. There we go. Nice little response there to the hard edge. Good little follow through. Our Geiger counter getting a little bit on the bullish side. So it looks like price is going to try to test the top end of this trading range. And my chart's almost finished loading. Question here from Randy. Randy asks, oh, I sent you an email, however, I haven't received a response. Oh, sorry, Randy, I don't usually check my emails over the weekend, so just FYI to anybody, if you email me over the weekend, you're probably not going to hear from me until Monday or Tuesday. What do you think about the indicator to purchase auto trend line and channel tool? Seems like a good tool. What do you think? It's one of the few tools I haven't played with, but I have heard positive feedback on it. So if you're somebody who, thinks that they need help drawing trend lines, then by all means, you guys know that I like to use trend lines a lot. Trend lines and channels, I think they're a great trading tool. And of course, if you're thinking about picking up any additional indicators, now is the perfect time because Adam's got a great deal going on, but it ends today. So I guess you got to make up your mind pretty quick about that one. But no, I don't see anything wrong with it. Like I said, I haven't used it myself, but I have heard good things about it from people who have picked it up. So there you go. All right, my charts finally got loaded. So I'm just putting my trade manager on. And bear with me one sec here while I throw trade manager on my other charts on the other monitor, and then we'll be good to go. Still looks like we've got a little bit of a rally going on. First micro macro cross signal right here, and we're working on a trend change signal with the Falcon as well. Alrighty. Okay, just gonna get my bearings here. I've done something a little different today, just for kicks. I threw the SPY on our setup. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the market, the SPY is the ETF derivative of the S&P, essentially. The nice thing about the SPY is that if you're looking for a market to trade, and you don't have a lot of money to trade with, the SPY is a very good alternative because you can really control your risk exposure with the SPY. I call it the SPY just because the symbol is SPY. Some people, technically I suppose it's called the spider. So here it is. And see, if we just turn this over to a onesie, just so you can see, here's that hard edge bounce that we were looking at. You can literally trade it for 17 cents. 17 cents to make 40 cents. Now, I know you would never trade for 17 cents. This is, it's a stock derivative, so you're going to be trading perhaps a 100 lot. See, if we went to manual mode here, we could change our quantity up here, say to 100. In which case our trade would look like this. So we would be risking $17 to make $40, but you get the point. You can really, really control your risk by adjusting your position size. This is the nice thing about the Forex markets as well. Now, if we go to full-on risk mode, where we're just risking 2% of our capital, we may have to adjust the rounding on the SPY a little bit. This is something that we run into on the Forex markets when we're trading Forex. It's okay to trade 2,335 shares or contracts. You don't normally do that. So what you would do is you would go to your strategies window, and here on your trade manager, Is that? Yeah, here we go. Round down value. So we would round down to the nearest value. We would probably change this from 1 to maybe 100. We'd round down to the closest 100. In fact, I'll make that change right now. So we need to disable our trade manager so we can make changes. And now we go up here to the quantity divisor, or round down, pardon me. And now we turn our trade manager back on. And now when we set up our trade, see, it rounds down to the nearest whole number, or to the nearest 100. I could also set it to round to the nearest 1,000, round down to the nearest 1,000. Because it moves a little bit slower as well, you may also want to hold on to the trade a little bit longer. But you can still scalp, you can swing trade, you can do everything that you can with other markets, but it does have that little extra degree of flexibility. So if you're trying to trade on a budget, that might be one that you may want to take a look at. All right, so pardon me, that early rally seems to have been a little bit short-lived, and now we're seeing a little bit of a move now to the bottom end of the trading range. And we're getting a first micro macro cross here to sell. So we had the first micro macro cross to buy, followed by a macro pullback to buy. Now we're getting the first micro macro cross slash macro pullback to sell. This is very indicative of a sideways market. I'm going to throw this on here just because I always tell you what a great trade the first micro macro cross signal is. But you really, really need to cover it a long ways away. And now it's into yellow bars, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay, the Raptor moving here into the hard edge. We did get a soft edge sell here. If this fails again, if we see this current rally fail and start to head lower and produce a sell signal, I will try to short it. And we'll see if we can't get down to the bottom end of the trading range. Jim says the DAX is selling off, so that might lead the others. But nothing very, very clear at the moment. Okay, so the NQ looking a little bit like a bear flag, and notice we have a 4-arrow consolidation. It came off of a yellow bar. This is the only signal that I will take off of a yellow bar, however, is the 4-arrow consolidation. Now I missed that one, but we're right back here with yet another first micro macro cross. And you know what? I would probably look at doing the range like that. I know the signal's going to print right here at 42.32.5. But you know what? For a couple of ticks, 3 ticks, I think I'll take it below the lows. Okay, while they're floundering there, I'm just going to take a quick look, see if that four arrow consolidation worked out. So this is the four arrow consolidation right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's got the added benefit of looking like a bear flag. That's the one that tends to be stronger. And it did come down, hit our profit objective before flinching and heading higher again. Now that we're back into yellow bars, I'm not going to take this trade. But it's just interesting what a reliable pattern that four arrow consolidation really is. Oh dear, we're just going to see them waffle. Oops, I missed this trend change signal right here on the Falcon. And it does appear as though the buyers are going to try to give it one more push. A pretty quiet day to start, considering, you know, it's a Monday and all. Well, no, we're still waffling here. Oh, darn. Okay, I'm going to just concentrate on the NQ here. Because I keep looking at my other charts and I keep missing a signal. Here was a very nice first micro macro cross on the buy side with the lack of a follow through on the first micro macro cross to the sell side here. It would have made buying it certainly more reasonable. Yeah, like Tony says, I bet things are bustling in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Yes, sir, I bet they are. All right, so here we are. We're at the top end of our trading range now. You can see right here around this whole 42, 45 area. And we just broke through there. And now we'll see whether or not the sellers are going to show up here. You can see, according to the trade forecaster, we're in full-on scalp mode here at the moment. And that would seem to make sense given the lack of follow-through that we're seeing pretty much across the board here. All right, so here comes that reaction now to the top end of the trading range. We'll see what kind of follow through we get. Oh, we're almost at the top end of the hour too. And why is that significant, you ask? Well, a lot of times this is when we see the market kind of putting in its high or low of the session. All right, we're just kind of drifting here. I'm doing my best not to rush into anything, but I know it's hard to remain patient at times. All right, we're just watching and waiting. I think if they continue to stall here on the highs, I don't like to buy at the top end of the trading range. You could set up to purchase this soft edge buy, but you see we've challenged the highs, and now we're getting a little bit of a reaction here. If this fails to hold, if we get a little bit of a retest here, well, we certainly do have a retest. We do have a quick little test of the extreme. I could be tempted to short. So that's kind of what I've got my eye on here at the moment. so here we are. Notice this 4-arrow consolidation. When the market really goes sideways and you start printing 5 and 6 arrows, it's no longer a 4-arrow consolidation. It may well turn out, because we've kind of got a macro pullback, piggybacking here, but it is not a 4-arrow consolidation anymore. There is no such thing as a 6 or 8-arrow consolidation. Now, I suppose if you were inclined, you could use the OCO function and you could just bracket, the highs and the lows, sell below there, buy above here. That is also a doable trade. Randy's got a question here. Randy asks, oh, yeah, okay. Before I get to Randy's question, I like Tony's comment here. I'm just going to sneak this in. 0 trades equals 100% correctness. Yes, isn't that the truth? It helps to be choosy. I honestly think that that's sometimes the hardest thing to do as a trader. Okay, Randy asks, how do I get the SPY to load on my charts in the Renko bars? It just loads with the decimal numbers on the side and the bottom of the chart with no bars. Okay, here's the sell signal that I was waiting for. So that has just tripped, so we're going to engage that. And I'm going to go back here to the SPY. Now you should just be able to load it. Now if it's not showing up, check your bar style. Make sure you're on candlestick, not maybe something on line on close or high low, something like that. Make sure you're on candlestick. You can also check here in your data series window. And your chart style, if you don't have as mine says dynamic equivolume bars, if you don't have the dynamic equivolume bars, yours will probably say candlestick. If not, you'll want to change it to candlestick. And make sure that your bar colors are not black. Sometimes that's a very common occurrence, is that for whatever reason, your bar colors print black on a black background. And the last thing that it could be, if you just have a totally blank chart, is that it's not part of your data. Now, if you're subscribed to the CME data, it should be there because that's where the SPY trades. But you may want to check with your broker. The other thing you can do is you can do one of these. You can do a reload all historical data, and sometimes that will reset stuff for you as well. So right click on your chart and pull down to reload all historical data. All right, so our little sell attempt here is so far working out all right on the Raptor. That was the soft edge sell that we're looking for. I do have a runner in play here, so we hit profit target on the first one. We're now into the hard edge, getting a little bit of a reaction. All right, and it looks like we may have rode out that little swing, in which case our next objective is going to see if we can't retest the lows of the day, and as well as, where's our next support and resistance line? So we've got the median line here at 42.26 half. That's going to be our next line on the way down. And we're also working on a trend change signal here as well with the Falcon. You can see our trend line changed color. Here's the down portion, here's the up, here's the down. And we would be looking for that signal right there. And I probably would take it below the low of the formation. And if I could afford it, certainly cover it above the high. If not, you could probably cover it to the crest here in the trend line. Some serious support down here at this 42.34 area, right down to 42.30. The other thing you can do, Randy, when you're trying to load the SPY is try to load it on a time chart first. See if you can get like a 5-minute chart on the SPY. Just build a new chart. Don't even use the DTS. Just see if you can get a 5-minute chart. That'll be a big tip-off too. All right, so we're shorting. Come on down. Caught a nice little move there, it seems. Oh, come on. Let's take it here to the 42.30 line so we can at least get to our break even. Okay, so what I'm on the lookout for now then is for the sellers to show up one more time. If we can get the sellers to show up. Then I'll get more aggressive with my stops. Come on. Nope. All right, so the buyer's making quite a push here. All right, here come the sellers. Give me this one bar. There we go. So now I'm going to start rolling my stops in. And I think I'm going to go with maybe something like the parabolics or the bar high low. There's parabolics. Let's go with those. And I could even go with the bar high low, which is a little bit more aggressive still. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm not giving the market much room here. If it fails on these lows yet again, I may as well get out of the market. In fact, I'm going to only give it 2 bars to sort itself out. So the sellers, in my opinion, they got to get busy now or go ahead and stop me out. And you guys have seen this in the room before. Sometimes my aggressiveness with my stop actually costs me. And today, you know, it might be one of those days we're seeing a lot of sideways trading going on here. The advanced decline is still quite bullish, almost 1,700 on the buy and 1,000 on the sell. And Jim says the Russell has just gone vertical, so we'll see. That may pull the NQ higher, in which case, yeah, go ahead, stop me out. All right, so there we go. Got tagged for a little loss, better than a big loss. And now I'll make a note in my journal and see whether or not I was too aggressive on that trade. No, so far so good. If we take out the high, then I certainly avoided a larger loss on this trade. So we'll put that back on the shelf. And our Raptor trade also got stopped here on this reversal. Here too, I could have gone with a more aggressive stop strategy, but it's all right. It's we're working on a cloud crossover now. So the clouds cross over, the market retreats back into the cloud, and we would anticipate a reaction out of there and perhaps prices to head lower. All right, here come the buyers. We're generating a red bar buy signal. This is a little bit more aggressive, but we are on the bottom end of this trading range, so to speak, if you identify your trading range as such. A little better to buy off the bottom end than the top end. Coincidentally, we also have a rule of three going on here, so we have a market which is really, really conflicted at the moment. Is this all we're going to get for a test of the highs before the market folds and heads lower? Doesn't seem right. So with this red bar buy signal, we're currently against the ATR. We actually need to see the market close above the ATR, which is at 42.40 quarter. And that's exactly the high of this bar. So this current bar could become our signal bar. Even though the signal printed right here, we were against the ATR, and we're using the ATR as a filter. So if you were inclined, I would probably go above the high of this bar that reversed. It's only another tick or two. And this is another situation where we are sideways. We could treat this with an OCO order. We could go in, bracket a buy above the high, and sell below the low. In fact, why don't we do that? Here, we'll do that just to be different. So we're going to, oops, wrong tool. We're going to sell below the low, and we're going to buy above the high. There we go. So we have a rule of three signal. The only thing that disturbs me about the rule of three is that we don't have a real good retest of the highs. This may just be it. Okay, there we go. We got our test of the, our fill on the short side. We're testing the bottom end of the trading range now, which is dangerous. I'm going to hold my stop above that high because it's dangerous because we're selling the low of a sideways range, right? This is the time that you see the false breakout where the market breaks out and then retreats back into the trading range and maybe even gets way back up here. That's what makes this so dangerous. Better to let it break out of the range, give you that retest, and then look for the sell signal. That's the better way to get at this. Come on down. I'm not real happy with this sideways drift that we got going on here. Not giving me a warm fuzzy feeling. And as I mentioned before, we know that there's, support around this whole area, around 42.40, 42.26, our next target. And you can see from the width of the bar, we had a fair amount of buying going on there. And there they go, up to test the top end of the trading range. You see this, and here we come with yet another red bar buy signal, and that would have tripped right here. Oh, don't you dare. Oh, you scoundrels. All right, well, there's our test of the extreme. We weren't able to ride that out. Now we're coming back with yet another sell signal. And I'll take that just below the low of the current bar. Can I cover above the high? Yes, I can. So we're doing a big flip-flop now. And they just, my stops were not far enough away. It looks as though the direction may have been correct, but my stop's in harm's way. Here we've got the hawk, a total mess. We did get a red bar buy signal. This looks like it's trying to test for the highs. The red bar buy signal, of course, you can buy to go up, or you can also short the failure of it, or you can use it just as an early warning that the market might be reversing. Yeah, I agree, Jim. Jim says it's a dull market today. It certainly is. A lot of sideways stuff. I'm not entirely sure what they're waiting on, but obviously they're waiting on something. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my stops are enabled. And yes, this is a first micro macro cross buy signal, so I guess I should nix our sell attempt here at the moment. Oh, you're doing okay, Jim. Jim says 3 trades, he's up 90 ticks. And I'm going to scrub this signal as well because our green bar sell is now working on a possible buy signal. All right, you guys, excuse me for just a moment. I got to go get myself something to drink. I will be right back. So what did I miss? Nothing. Still going sideways. Well, there's not much you can do with it. I might highlight a couple of trades here yet, but quite honestly, I think I'd be looking for the market to get outside of this trading range before getting too involved. We did get a buy signal here on the Eagle. It looks like we're going to run to the top end of the trading range. So the signal came in right here off of this bar, and you can see everything was in sync, and it looks like that one's going to give it a bit of a run too. There we go. At least run it up to the high, maybe even take it to the 4250 area. What we can do is we're getting a comparable signal here on crude oil. A hard edge bounce, red bar buy. We're currently against the ATR, so I would like to see that ATR turn over. Or if you want to be more aggressive, you could take it right on the hash mark. It's always a little bit riskier, which is the reason that we use the ATR to keep us in sync. But if you wanted to get into that trade a little bit earlier, there's an option for you. Nothing wrong with waiting, though. Like Tony says, if you wait, you're always right. That's quite the range, though, we're looking at. All right, so here we are with our NASDAQ getting back up here. Are we going to retest the highs and fail? That would be an excellent test of the extreme. An excellent failure signal. All right, so they're floundering a little bit. You can see the width of the bars. There's a lot more activity going on. This may well turn out to be our test of the extreme, in which case it's reasonable to assume that the market will head lower from there. Maybe we'll get a soft edge sell that we can capitalize here on the Raptor. Maybe a failed red bar buy or something here on the Hawk. All depends how it's going to react now to these highs. If it breaks right through, well then, of course, all bets are off. Okay, they're working it. You can see here, according to the Raptor, we pretty much hit the number, the high of the day, almost right on the number. A lot of width on this bar, suggesting a lot of volume. Geiger counter fairly neutral, but you see it's pulling here to the sell side, and it's holding. It's holding. Oh, now, oh, it's still pulling to the sell side. It's starting to look like the sellers are prepared to defend this whole 42-48 area. Geiger counter, very handy tool for that type of interpretation. Okay, we'll give them a couple of minutes yet. Oh, here we go. Working it into a macro pullback signal, kind of the last ditch effort on the part of the buyers. Now we're into yellow bars. All right, so things shaping up more or less as we anticipated. comes that red bar buy signal. So it's not printed yet. We just have the warning dot. Here's the red bar. Let's see if they come back with a buy signal, and that will give us a level which we can short. Don't have our, well, we are technically getting a soft edge sell here on the Raptor. I suppose if we looked at the overall as the test of the extreme, this would probably be as good a place as any to short from. This is a very aggressive posture on my part. I'm going to cover the trade above the high. Still working on the red bar sell. Don't have the signal just yet. And of course, we're into the hard edge where we always anticipate some sort of reaction. So this is not, exactly what you would call a safe trade. Crude oil, in the meantime, working on a possible trend change / late filter entry signal here on the Falcon, kind of confirming what we're seeing. If this bar finishes on the low, it should flip the filter back to be red, and we should print a sell signal. We don't have the sell signal just yet, so that's makes things a little bit more difficult, but there you go. You can nix the buying attempts and possibly look at shorting crude. All right, so here's now our red bar buy signal, and we're watching the market give us our test of the extreme and hopefully a failure, in which case it will head lower. Working on a trend change signal here with the Falcon also. So we don't have it yet. We did have the warning dot here for a moment. It's since disappeared. But the trend line has changed. Here's the down, here's the up. Oh, here comes the down. There's the warning dot. No, a lot of waffling going on here. There's the warning dot. Wow, what a bar. What an important bar right now. Interesting. Jim says the YM is opposite the NQ. In the mini Dow, they're buying it. And the NQ, we're maybe looking at a short, a possible sell. All depends whether or not they can take out, this 42.38-ish area. That's the one that's going to be kind of important. All right, so it looks like we're going to be able to set up the trade like so. 42.38 or 42.37 3/4, somewhere in there, to get below these buying lows. So there's the hash mark. You could take it on the hash mark. A lot of times I contend that, if you're going to get filled 42.38 half, you're probably going to get filled 42.38 also. But a quick little trend change. We'll see if they can muster something here. Obviously, it's pretty tough to trade a sideways market. You can cancel your crude oil signal. The market never engaged. So we were looking at this formation right here is possibly building into a sell signal. It has not. It has since gone back into a green trend line, which voids our selling attempts. And here we are now with the NASDAQ trying to sell it. Come on, sellers. There we go. There we go. Come on. Bring it down. Come on. Oh, you stinkers. Come on. Get down there. Very important bar that we're working on here right now. If we see the buyers hold support here, then they're pretty much going to run the market. Yeah, Jim says this chop is full of mess. It certainly is. I'm going to start to roll my stop in a little bit, bring it in above this little intermediate set of swing highs. You see this one right here, this one right here. Time for the sellers to put up or shut up. And if the sellers fail to move the market lower, although I'm not much on flip-flopping positions, we might see the buyers actually take the market and rally it. It would be nice to have a little bit of follow through though, you know, just to be different. So here's crude oil on the Eagle now. We have had our test of the highs. Oh, too much. I got to go halfways with crude oil. So we'll try to cover it there. So this is a rule of three signal that we have in crude oil. And I know you're saying, well, Eric, there's only two. There's only two signals against the hard edge. But we have had our retest of the high. Ideally, I'd like to cover the trade right here. But that's not going to happen. Not with my account size, unless I increase the risk. So now that we've had the retest of the high, we would be looking for the market to resume the downtrend. See, we've got a fairly substantial downtrend, and this may end up being like a larger bear flag of sorts. We don't know yet, but that's kind of how it's shaping up. Trend mode in approximately 2 minutes time. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Sure, Paco. Paco asks, Eric, when you have time, would you explain your auto break-even settings? No problem. We're just waiting for a decent signal anyhow, so this is as good a time as any. What you want to do is, it's something that's going to be on your trade manager. So you go to your strategies window and you highlight your trade manager. Now, if your trade manager is on already, you need to turn it off. And then roll here to the very top. And you're going to see section A2, auto break-even parameters. If your auto break-even is not on, it's going to be set at false. So you want to turn that setting to true. And now you can adjust where you want the auto break-even to engage. Normally I do it anywhere from 3/4 to 90% of the way to the profit objective. And you have to set it up in ticks. So with the Hawk, which is the one we're featuring here, I have a 10-tick profit target. So I'm going to have the auto break even engage at 8 ticks. I figure if it gets 8 ticks to the profit target and it reverses, well, you might as well take me out of break even. Now you can also set the break even offset. By default, it's break even plus 1 tick. So you make 1 tick for the commissions and broker and whatnot. But you can set it for whatever you want. Some people want to save 5 ticks. You can hit your break-even trigger at 8. Your stop will go to break-even plus 5 ticks. If the market reverses on you, then at least you still captured 5 ticks. When everything is to your liking, go back here to the Enabled tab and turn everything on. And now you will have a auto break-even trigger. So when you set your trade, now this isn't a signal, I'm just demonstrating. When you set your trade and the order gets filled, you see we've got an auto break even 8 ticks to our profit target. Well, actually, I guess this could have been a trade. It was a 4-arrow consolidation of sorts. And that's how you do your auto break even. Ryman asks, Eric, when you talk about the advanced buy and sell orders, how can I learn to see that? Okay, I'm not entirely clear on your question, but let me go over what I think you're asking, and then you can correct me. Or you can always shoot me an email as well. as traders, we're always interested where the buyers and the sellers are at, right? Because if we can identify where the buyers and sellers are at, we can try to position ourselves to be on the right side of the trading equation. Typically what I look at is I look at where the market is making its swings relative to where it has been. So long as the market is making higher swings, it's going to remain in an uptrend. If it is making lower swings, it's going to remain in a downtrend. The problem is when the market starts waffling both ways, right? We're making higher swings relative to this, right? This one is lower than this one. This one is lower than this one. So we're consolidating a little bit here. We're making higher lows and we're making lower highs. So which way is this market trending? Well, it's not, is it? It's perfectly sideways here at the moment. It's not trending higher, it's not trending lower. We know that there is a lot of buying that goes on whenever the market gets down here to the 42.30 area. How do I know? Well, prices went up, prices came down, they got as low as 42.32, and then the buyers got busy. We know there's a lot of selling going on around the 42.48 area. How do we know? Well, prices came up, they came down, they came up, and sellers did not allow it to get above 42.48. Why is this significant? Well, we know that because the sellers are selling at 42.48 and the buyers are buying around the 42.30 area, if either of these areas breach, we're going to engage a lot of buyers sell stops or sellers exit stops. Well, if you were a buyer down here, your exit stop will be a sell order, correct? That means if the market breaches this 42.30 area, we're going to engage a lot of sell orders, and that should send the market lower, providing the sellers are also actively selling. But because the market is sideways like this, we don't know for sure if the buyers will, just allow the sellers to breach it a little bit and then they'll jump on them, in which case they're going to force the market back into this trading range and maybe even overwhelm the sellers. Or, if it's in fact going to have bigger follow through. That's why when we have a trading range like this, the best course of action is to let it get outside of that range, retest, and now we would be looking for the sellers to confirm that they have control of the market, and then we're going to sell. Likewise to the upside, if the buyers break out through the top, we would anticipate that they're going to counteract the seller's reaction to the breakout, because the sellers will try to sell it again. There's no question. And if the buyers can hold on to it, they're going to force the market higher. So that's why letting the market break outside of these ranges before you look for a buy or sell signal will make your trading that much more predictable. So long as it's drifting sideways like this, it's going to be really tough trading today. But as far as finding the buyers and the sellers, that's what I look for. I look for, where are the areas that they're defending? And then with the dynamic equivolume bars, I can see the amount of effort that's going into the trade. Right? I can see how active they are buying these lows because of the width of the bar. See, there's not a whole lot of buying or selling going on this bar because it's quite thin. The sellers are going to sell where they can get the best price. Well, right now they're saying 42.50 is a great place to sell. That's where they're going to be anxious to sell. So I hope that makes sense. It's more difficult on a day like today, but this is why we're always watching for the tests of the extreme and the subsequent failures. See, here we go. We got one on the SPY here actually now. So we're also, we're moving sideways. Market has come down. It's come up. Sellers are actively selling it. So this is a sell signal. It's not that the market's going to fall off the map on this one. But, oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention with the SPY, you can dial down your risk amount dramatically, right? We can risk, say we even want to risk 0.75% or 0.5% of your trading capital. But once we see, that the sellers are actively selling and we come back with a sell signal, then that's something we may want to get involved with, especially if we can cover it up above the highs. It's going to be tough though. So long as we're in this sideways range though, I think your best course of action is probably just to scalp. Buyers trying to be more aggressive though. We are seeing, still higher swings relative to what they have been. Overall, not a fun trading day. And yet the advanced decline keeps going up. Jim says we've got 1,800 on the buy now and only 1,000 on the sell. That's very interesting. Prices are seriously wedging though. All right, this might be the last attempt here this morning. We're working a first micro-macro cross higher. And, well, let's just scalp out. It may get back up here to the 42-48 area, but you know what? It's going to be a tough trade. Working on a possible trend change here on the Falcon, as well as a cloud crossover here on the Raptor. The Eagle produced a red bar buy signal. We're against the ATR. So we need this current bar to finish on the high, and then that will become effectively our signal bar. But again, we're near the top end of the trading range, which makes this a very, very difficult buy. We might get lucky. The buyers might take us out and take out the highs. In which case, next stop will be around this 42.53 area. We're getting our trend change signal here on the Falcon also. But again, it's at the highs. It's going to be a little bit riskier because we will anticipate that the sellers are going to once again defend the highs. So we hit our profit target there on the hawk. Hooray for us. Pretty messy day for the most part, though. We'll sit with this one for a few minutes, and then I think we're going to button up the room. We're really not missing anything here today. The afternoon may shake up. That's the funny thing about days like today, is that very often the afternoon session will be the more active trading session. And you see here now comes that reaction from the sellers, just as we anticipated. We know they're sensitive to this 42.48 area. So we're going to look for the sellers. Here comes their reaction. Now, because we're buyers, we're looking for the buyers to come back into this market. And once they do, once they show us that they are actively buying the market, well, then we can become more aggressive with our stops. So for instance, if this candle finishes on the high, that will tell me that the buyers are prepared to try to buy this market up, because notice this long tail on the bar. At one time, this bar was down here at the low. It looked very bearish. So if the buyers can force the market and close this bar on the high at 42.47 3/4, I may as well roll my stop down below there. Oh, look at this. We're back into full-on scalp mode. Ay, what a day. Okay, very important bar. Nope. Come on. See, some people would say that the buyers have already shown their presence. Now is the time to bring your stops in. Take the little hit. And there's nothing wrong with that logic. Jim's trying to encourage me. The advanced decline creeping up. 1900 on the buy, 900 on the sell. I don't know. If the sellers keep defending this, see, this is a very important bar. How do I know? Well, it's not moving higher, nor is it moving lower. The sellers try to sell it down. The buyers try to buy it up. It was a hollow body here for a moment. Oh, there was big sell. Now look at how the buyers are trying to defend it. They're trying to buy it up. There's a very real possibility that they're going to lose it on this particular bar. And we got the same situation here now with the Falcon also. A day like today, your best course of action, I think, as I mentioned, just scalp. Just go in, grab your $50, get out. If you can do that 2 or 3 or 4 times a day, you know what, you'll be doing well on a day like today. Jim says the Geiger counter on the YM is selling hard, and it looks like the NASDAQ holding a little bit here to the short side. We did get this buy spike through here, but it was absorbed by the sellers. or vice versa with the sell spike absorbed by the buyers. Again, it's all told just watching that bar move back and forth. See, now it's a little bit bullish, but it can't get bullish. A little bit bearish, it can't stay bearish. All right, so things are looking up a little bit for our trade. And once again, if this bar finishes on the high, I'm going to roll my stop right below there. In fact, I'm going to get really aggressive here in a second. Come on. Get up there, you stinkers. And I'm going to do the same thing here with the Falcon. I'm going to get much more aggressive with my stop. I'm going to roll it here below the primary resistance line. This is a really, really tight little formation that we have going on. If they trade above the high, we're okay. If they trade below the lows, they're probably going to reverse and head lower. Come on, get above those highs. You can do it. I'll give you a little nudge with the mouse, a little help. Oh, brother. All right, I'm going to go now with the bar high low. And we'll leave it a couple ticks back. In fact, I'm going to take it to break even. I'm going to force that trade to break even now. And no. We're looking back a little bit here on the Falcon. Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, it's tough going here for the buyers today. Well, and for the sellers. Nobody is making any headway. All right, you guys, we're going to close up the room, and we'll get back again tomorrow morning. Hopefully things will have sorted themselves out a little bit. We'll talk to you guys then. Bye for now.